Welcome back, y'all. It is the Drunk Capitalist here today, and we're going to talk about something that's going and setting Twitter ablaze. As you can see by the thumbnail, today I'm talking about Jay-Z being called a capitalist. Now, people are saying Jay-Z is thinking that capitalist is a slur, and he basically said that. So we're gonna get into the whole mess and shebang and really get deep down into what's really going on right now, um, in reference to this and Black Americans being capitalists, Black Americans being anti-capitalist, Black Americans being socialist, and really just take a deep dive. Now, let's just start from the very beginning. Let's not act like we didn't all hear the tweet slash viral question that happened both on the internet and in reality, where people were asking, would you take 500K or dinner with Jay-Z? Now, people are really torn on that answer. Some people saying, well, I can take 500K and immediately have my money issue solved. And some people are like, no, I want the information that Jay-Z has on how to become a billionaire, given that he came from the projects. Now, my feelings on this is that you need both, okay? And I think many people can agree that you need both the capital and the knowledge, because even with one without the other really can't get you anywhere in life. Like, that is just the bare bones truth of it. Yeah, if you have some money you can have opportunity, but you are very likely to stumble, as we have seen in history. Like, giving someone a windfall of money doesn't really do much to change their life, and most times it makes it worse. For example, people that have won the lottery, they have an entire series called "The Lottery Changed My Life" of people that won millions of dollars or sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they end up worse off than they were before, or they end up dead. Like, it's just like it ends up bad, and then we've seen it just now with the PPP loans, where people took out millions of dollars and all they did with the money was buy luxury items. So it turns out having just money alone doesn't really do nothing. If you have the knowledge of how to make that money, one, and then two, how to invest that money and flip that money, and how to donate that money, and how to actually build effective charities, that's completely different than just handing you $10. Of course you want the $10 right now if you're starving, but that's not going to save you. It's this age old idiom, teach a man to fish and he'll eat for many days, versus a given man a fish and he'll eat for one day. It's the same concept. That's how I look at it, but people have always been divided about it. But let's get into this video though, where we are gonna hear some thoughts on, criticisms for some non-black people. This is TYT, the Young Turks. They've been a news outlet on YouTube for a while now. They're pretty big. But, sometimes they hit the right notes, and other times they really don't. And it's because they're extremely liberal and pretty much socialist. So it's like,
Before was the American dream. Pull yourself out of bootstraps and you can make it in America. All these lies that America told us our whole life. And then when we start getting it, they try to lock us out of it. They start inventing words like, capitalists and, things like that. I mean, we've been called monkeys. I don't care. Those words y'all come up with, y'all got to come up with stronger words.
You just heard Jay-Z conflating racial slurs with the word capitalist. And the point that he was really trying to make there was that he finds it wrong that capitalist is now considered a bit of a smear. And you can understand why he would feel that way as someone who's doing pretty well for himself as a capitalist. So Jay-Z said in this Twitter Spaces conversation hosted by Rob Markman, which was meant to promote DJ Khaled's new album, God Did. This is when the conversation's happening, right? So
before she gets into it, it's like they're already ignoring the front end of what his message was, and that it's not just blanketed, oh, I'm mad that you're calling me a capitalist or anything like that, and him, I guess mismanaging his words there and saying kind of like, oh, inventing words like capitalist. Like, we know that the word capitalist was not invented just now. Like, this has been a thing. but it has just now started as a thing in the black community to actually more understand capitalism, and then to start calling other black people capitalists as a slur. Now, as a non-black person, they're not going to understand what that really means because they've never had to be called something like a coon, right? So like basically coon is basically the like capitalist is the new coon. Basically it's basically saying, oh, you're trying to be like them and trying to exploit people and do this and do that, when that's really oftentimes not really what it is. And the bigger issue is that black people are expected to not only make it out of poverty and be successful, but then bring the success back to those in poverty to bring them out of poverty as well. Whereas actual capitalism doesn't work like that. That's socialism. But let's keep moving.
Let's listen to more of Jay-Z's rant because he went on to complain about the phrase "eat the rich" as well.
We're not going to be tricked out of our position. Y'all locked us out. Y'all created a system that, doesn't include us. We said, fine. We went our alternate route. We created this music. We did our thing. We hustled, killed ourselves to get to this space. And, now it's like, eat the rich. And man, we're not stopping.
Okay, so now he's talking about the fact that the system of capitalism was working in a different way a long time ago in regards to black people. In fact, black people were capital, we were property. So that system has now shifted to now where black people can have capital and have property that aren't people. Good for that, right? But at the same time, now we're shifting to a place where people are saying, hey, eat the rich. And now they're making money and being rich the issue, when that has never really been the issue. The issue has always been race. They have locked out black people from gaining capital because they were considering black people the actual capital. And now that capital is just money, property, investments, now they want to coerce you into believing that the gaining of money means that you are inherently evil, right? And now that is the message to black people who don't have a full grasp on what capitalism as a system is, right? But they have a grasp on racism, but they don't really have quite a grasp on capitalism, how they're not the same thing, but they are systems that somehow are colliding together to keep us down. But at the same time, the TYT, the Young Turks, they don't understand the nuance in which he's coming from as a black person. Because as a black person, saying that you're a capitalist, you're on my channel, you understand that I consider myself a capitalist. So saying that and then saying that to other black people, they look at you a certain way, right? They start putting things, I don't know how to explain it, but they're just basic. Like, I'm trying to explain it to get to the point of they're saying that you're basically a bad person if you were a capitalist because of the past ways in which capitalism was enforced or used in that system, even though these things have changed. And essentially, by him saying, oh, they're trying to keep me down, I don't think that people understand what they mean. I think it's kind of like in the black community, there's sometimes a tendency to look at people that are being successful in whatever it is they do. Once they get past a certain point, we start looking at them sideways, right? And we're like, you're doing too much. Billionaire, you're doing too freaking much now. We were cool with you just rapping, and that's about it. And that's what he means by them trying to hold you down and trying to make him feel insecure about how successful he has become. That's how I'm trying to explain it. But let's keep going.
So I'm curious what you think about this, Cenk. Just to give you some more background info, Jay-Z is worth $1.3 billion. He feels that he is being victimized because of his success. He doesn't like the fact that capitalist is considered a smear. And look, I can understand why he's feeling attacked, but he should also understand what the reality is for the vast majority of Americans, because
you can't say you're saying that he should understand what the reality is. This man is living in reality. He lived as a man in poverty, okay? He lived in the projects. He knows exactly what it's like, and he lived before the internet was what the internet is now, where pretty much anybody can grab a microphone or do whatever, make some music and send it out. He lived before all of that. He lived through all of that. He experienced all of that. And now he literally is experiencing both sides. So when you have someone that has experienced both sides of a situation, it's very hard for you to say that they're completely wrong about the bigger picture, because they're not seeing the picture from one side or the other. They're seeing the whole picture because they were on both sides. Like,
the opportunities that he might have had to succeed in the way that he has aren't really afforded to a lot of people these days. And there's.
But that doesn't make any sense, because like I just said, he grew up in the projects. He created his opportunities. He didn't have opportunities to make money outside. Well, for him, out in the early 80s and 90s, crack era, obviously, he didn't have the means to get a corporate job. He probably would have to work extra hard to go to college because he's from the projects. Now he sold drugs, right? That was his opportunity. He got away. Some people don't have the opportunity to get away. But are you going to criticize him for not going to jail? You're going to criticize him for not being killed on the street? Because that's basically what you're saying. You're saying, well, other people didn't get the opportunity. He was selling drugs. Like, what do you mean other people didn't get the opportunity? Some people chose a bad path. He went down that lane and he curved. That's basically what happened. Like, afforded the opportunity, right now people can do whatever they want. You just need a phone to get popping at this point. You need a $1,000 phone. You don't even have to pay a whole $1,000 for it. You could put down $50 and you can get an iPhone and start making music. You can get an iPhone and or Android, whatever, and because capitalism, so you have competition. But so you can start doing anything. You can start YouTube. You can do TikTok. You could do Instagram. You could be a Twitter justice warrior. You could do anything right now. Are you gonna be guaranteed success? No. Why? Because not everybody's gonna like you. Point blank. So you can't really say everybody doesn't have. Right now, you have the most opportunity. When he was coming up, you had to be signed to a label. You had to have money. You had to figure things out in a different way. You had to sign probably bad contracts in order to just get a buzz. Do you understand? Like, it's completely different. The landscape is way better now, but now they're making it seem like, oh, they didn't have the opportunity, so you had it better. You had more privilege than everyone else. And it's like, no. He's successful because he was in the right place at the right time. And when that happened, he was prepared for it. That was it.
Seems to be an unwillingness to ever really acknowledge that. And if you're wondering, okay, well, how did he make his money outside of music? He's been involved in real estate. He has an ownership stake in the Nets. He's got a fine art collection. Tidal is a company that he owns. Rock Nation Entertainment and sports agency he also owns. And he has his own champagne brand because of course he does. So he is very much a capitalist who's involved in many business ventures.
Yeah, so I think this story.
The argument isn't that he's not a capitalist. He is a capitalist. He's managed to take in every check from every investment and continue making new investments. And the funny thing about all these investments is that they all pay people. They all pay people because it's capitalism. Everyone's getting paid.
It was interesting on a couple of counts. The first one is Jay-Z, one of the most popular performers in America, thinks that capitalist is a slur word equal to calling a black man a monkey. Wow, okay. So Frank Luntz, the top Republican pollster, talked about this 6 years ago. He did a poll of young people and he's like, oh my God, his hair was on fire. His non-existent hair was on fire. He wears a toupee. He was like, oh my God, young people in this country hate capitalism. They like socialism. Watch out, we're all gonna lose. It's only a matter of time. Panic, panic. It was one of the most.
But you just answered your own question. You just said young people are saying that they hate capitalism. So when they say you're a capitalist, what do you think they're referring to? Like, what do you think? Where do you think it's coming from? It's not coming from a place of love and admiration. It's coming from a place of negativity. If they literally say, hey, we hate capitalists, we hate capitalism, we hate the system, and you're a part of this system and you like it there and you're successful in that system, they're not saying kudos to you. They're saying we don't like you. So yes, for him to feel offended and feel like it's a slur, it's totally legitimate. I'm not saying it's equivalent to the N-word. I'm not saying it's equivalent to the N-word. But within the black community, it's like it's like calling somebody an Oreo or calling them like, whatever random other things that black people call other black people that they don't like. I guess literally it falls into that category.
Most panic things I've ever seen a Republican say once he did that poll. And that's what Jay-Z is responding to. If there's one thing Jay-Z is good at, is having a finger on the pulse of pop culture. And for young people, they hate capitalism. They think it is one of the most offensive things there is. And that will, like, the older generation doesn't get it at all. At all. They're totally blind to this.
And that's the thing. You're literally explaining again that young people hate capitalism. Here's my thing with people that hate capitalism. Those are the same people on their iPhones hating capitalism, speaking their mind in their apartment that they chose, in the clothes that they chose, and that they were able to buy, at the job that they got, the business that they didn't start. It's all like it's all made up, because you can't say you hate like, yes, we understand that you're intertwined in the in the capitalist system, but you can't say you don't like it here, because you do sure like making decisions and having choices. That's what you have when you have capitalism. Socialism is not going to give you choices. Socialism is completely different. It means the government has most of the control over all of the resources and businesses, and that gives you lack of choice. But the way things are going, trust me, you don't want that. Okay?
If you told any cable news anchor, if you told them younger generations don't like capitalism, they'd be like, oh, younger generations, it's their fault. What's wrong with them, right? No, you're not getting it at all. Now, the second part of the story is about Jay-Z himself. Listen, you gotta get better educated on this stuff. I mean, he's like, now they're inventing a word called capitalism. Pretty sure that was invented earlier, okay?
But okay, yeah, he. I'll give y'all that one, that he just, the way he said the words didn't, align. But if you're a person that's learned, you understand that that's not what he means. He means the fact that they're now reinventing the word, that they're using it in a different way than what it's meant for, and it's now coming off negatively. 50 years ago, people loved capitalism. They loved buying a brand new car that came off the Ford line, American made, capitalism. They loved the brand new house in the cul-de-sac. They loved the dresses, the mail order dresses from Macy's. They loved all this stuff. But all of a sudden, oh, now we don't like capitalism. It's bad. Capitalism is bad. But anyway, let's move on. Let's see what the Twitter spare is saying about capitalism. You make millions of dollars in America, you're a capitalist. Jay-Z too old to not know this. In the raps talking about buying paintings, properties, and reselling them and making investments. This is literally what a capitalist does. Right. This person is completely correct. He is a capitalist. I don't think he's saying he's not a capitalist. I think what he's saying is that, yeah, sure, I'm a capitalist, but I'm not a capitalist in the negative way that you guys are trying to portray it. So, but yeah, he does all the things. No, Jay-Z, we didn't make up the word capitalist to make you feel guilty. We say capitalist to describe who owns capital and exploits our labor to get it. See, that's when you throw in the exploits our labor. Bro, life is work. Like, stop it. Like, you gotta do something in order to get things out of life. Everything is always you're exploiting. It's exploitation. No, exploitation is what's happening in like places like India and Africa. That's exploitation. That's exploitation. Also China. That's exploitation. You going to work at your desk job, filling out accounting and paperwork is not exploitation. It's not guilt we want you to feel. It's fear. Why do you want people to be afraid? Why do you want him to be afraid? We're coming to expropriate what's ours so we can build a socialist world. One thing you say, exploit our labor, but last thing you say is build a socialist world. Last time I checked, to build something, you need labor. But whatever. If you're not making those connections, then the thing, your brain is just not firing off right. That's all I can say. This N-word, Jay-Z, said capitalist is an offensive word. Don't let your blackness make you an ahistorical clown like Hove. Okay. If he feels offended by it, then he feels offended by it. What are you going to do? Jay-Z saying the word capitalist was basically made up to keep the black man down was the laugh I needed today. Thank you, Jay, for real. Yeah, and I get it. Some people are going to view it this way, and they have every right to. But I don't think that they're really seeing what he's trying to get at with the whole thing. I think he's just more trying to get at the fact that black people look down on capitalism, capitalistic things. Should I say? I don't know how to say it. But yeah. Jay-Z talking a bunch of nonsense. Man implied that capitalists and eat the rich are words terms that were created to keep black people down. Very unserious. I mean, yeah, I think that black people want to keep other black people down. I think there is a crabs in a barrel mentality sometimes, and it pops up and it shows itself all the time. Jay-Z really was on that space crying about us calling him a capitalist. He is. Then trying to say that calling black rich folks capitalists is similar to the N-word. I mean, I don't think it's similar to, I mean, it might be similar, but I want to say it's equivalent. So I'll say that. And then next up, we got the, this discussion with Saul Williams at the Breakfast Club. He speaks about Jay-Z, but he also speaks about other people. And I really want, this is how I want this to come together. And like let's start having like discussions about what people really mean when they say stuff. Because I don't even think people understand what they mean when they say stuff. But let's keep it pushing.
As an artist, I feel the same type of responsibility. So it's not activism. It's really just life. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But what do I think is the greatest problem facing our community? I think that, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, there's lots of things, you know. I think that essentially,
understand our community, what he's talking about is black people, obviously, but let's keep going.
We need to like find ways to like get beyond the dog eat dog, thinking that money is power probably is the biggest thing that we could.
So is it dog eat dog or is it money? Because like I was saying, it feels like a crabs in a barrel mentality sometimes, but is it dog eat dog or is it money?
That we're doing wrong right now is worshiping people just because they make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like you have cats, you know, rappers included, who run, you know, for photo ops with Warren Buffett, you know, while Maya Angelou was alive and never ran for that photo op. You know what I'm saying? I think our value.
Okay, you could say that because that sounds cute to say, oh yeah, well, you want to take a picture with billionaire Warren Buffett, but you don't want to take a picture with Maya Angelou. You're right. I don't really see that many people taking pictures with Maya Angelou or have taken pictures with Maya Angelou. But I do see people taking pictures with Warren Buffett. Now, when we're talking about Maya Angelou, the writer poet, and we're talking about Warren Buffett, the investor billionaire, I don't know. Which one do you think is going to put food on your plate? I don't know. So, it's not that we don't love us some Maya Angelou and we don't respect her. And we didn't make Maya Angelou by pushing forward her work. But if this man has information on how to get our community some money and some food, I'm going to take the picture with the person that can give me some info, because I'm going to just get their ear for at least 30 seconds. But that's just me.
Are twisted. I think that we, post 9/11, once we pointed to another enemy and black people stopped being the so-called enemy in America, I think we graduated to real American. We got a black president and all this stuff, but real American sometimes has to be questioned in the sense of just like, yo, if it's just about rags to riches, if it's just about money, you know what I'm saying, then what the hell are we doing? It's like, like when Jay said, I couldn't help the poor if I was one of them. You know what I'm saying? Thank God Harriet Tubman didn't think that way.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? Thank God Sojourner Truth didn't think that way. Malcolm X didn't think that way. Martin Luther King didn't think that way. Assata Shakur didn't think that way. You know what I'm saying?
That's the same exact thing I told.
But here's the issue, is that you're naming a bunch of people, and at the same time you're sitting in a time where black people still aren't where they need to be. Why? Because the missing piece of the puzzle, yes, a part of it is that we need to work together to make things happen. But a huge missing piece of the puzzle, which is obvious as day, is that we don't got no money. Like, in the grand scheme of things, we ain't got no money. So if he's talking about, he's referring to Jay-Z's lyrics of saying that I couldn't help poor people if I was one of them, which is literally the truth. How are you going to help poor people if you are poor yourself? All you could do is just lend a empty hand. That's all you could do, is lift somebody up, but just to your level, because you can't go anywhere else because you don't got nothing else. So the only way for him to help others is for him to first help himself, aka grab your mask first before you help somebody with their mask, because that's the only way we're all going to survive on this flight, is if everybody that has the ability to get ahead gets ahead and then reaches back, not reach to the side and hold each other across the United States. That doesn't make any sense. You're gonna stay in the exact same position that people want you in, because at the end of the day, the reason that they have race is because it's a race. Like, if the other communities have the opportunity to throw a banana peel in front of you and have you slip up, they will do it. But you see, we're so focused on peace and love and connection to the world, which is great. I believe in that. But if you're in a capitalist society, you need to be playing the capitalism game. End of story. Anything else, you're just gonna lose.
Kanye West, when he was saying you got to be a billionaire to be a revolutionary.
And then also to say that Harriet Tubman, I'm comparing the two things, doesn't really make sense to me, simply because the reason Harriet Tubman was able to save all those slaves was because she found the way to freedom herself. She found her way to freedom and then doubled back multiple times in order to get other people and bring them to freedom. That's not possible if she's just staying on the plantation and being, well, I'm here for you, Johnny. Like, if you're just doing that, then you're not doing anything. Like, and that's what a lot of people just don't realize, because it just sounds cute to say, I'm with my brothers and sisters, I'm really here for y'all, I stayed down, I stayed in the hood, I did it like this. Like, all that sounds cute, but then you gotta get real and get down to the nitty gritty. And at the end of the day, in order to pull people up and bring people out of poverty, you need to not be in poverty. So simple.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. You need to be one with the people to be a revolutionary. You need to speak directly to the people and understand that you don't need money to win. You need a heart. You need a soul. You need to feel connected to the universe in order to win. And that's what winning is.
Okay, you're saying you don't need money to win, but you're losing because you ain't got no money. So, and it's not like Jay-Z is not speaking to the people. He's speaking to us whenever he rhymes. So he recently dropped a feature on DJ Khaled, which is how this whole conversation really got started. And I kind of want to get into those lyrics and some of the ones that are my favorite from the bunch of lyrics. But essentially, I'm gonna get to that. But essentially, what I'm speaking about though is the fact that people are super ready to be like, yeah, this person is not really doing enough. They're not doing what they gotta do. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And it's like, I don't think any of that is true. Like, I feel like Jay-Z has gone back and done things, even most recently going to Marcy Projects, creating a financial literacy class. And then even then people were complaining about, why are you teaching them financial literacy? Because it matters. You can't just have the money and none of the education. You gotta have it both. He literally gave people free phones and free internet, free tablets, and free classes. Right? No cost for these students, so they can learn about finance and actually understand what it means to actually be in capitalism versus, oh, we just gonna survive. No, we want to thrive. If we're in Black America, we're the survivors of everything that's happened in the past. We want to thrive now. That's what we owe to our ancestors who fought for everything that we've done. It's to thrive. It's to actually play the game to our fullest potential. Why are you going to sit here and just be like, oh, we just need to be one with the people, and that's it? That's it. Nothing else. Like, the whole people that are like, oh, we're just trying to, be peace and love and all this stuff. This man is Saul Williams. He's a poet. He's a poet. How you gonna be a poet trying to sell your poetry and say you don't want to be a part of capitalism and you living in America? It don't make sense. But back to Jay. he goes on. He says this.
What is everyone doing? What is everyone? Everyone can speak, like those Twitter people you talk. Everyone can talk. Ask them what have they done. It's 365 days last year. I can tell you exactly what I've done last year. I can tell you everything that I've been done in that change. I can tell you the amount of people I saved from going to jail. I can tell you that I got this person out of jail. I can tell you that I've done this, and that. I've fed this many people. I can tell you exactly what I've done with my 365 days. What has everyone done? It's a challenge.
So,
and what?
In this one, he's basically speaking to what have people done that they can say that they're the ones helping versus what I'm doing as a billionaire and I'm helping. Because I can literally list the things, and I don't think it's a matter for him. I don't think it's a matter of saying, hey, look at these good deeds, look at these good deeds. It's more like of him saying, no, literally, this is the only way for this to happen. The only way for us to make sure that you have money is for us to get money, because that's how it starts, right? You gotta sign to a record label. Who owns the record labels? Non-black people own the record labels. They're the ones actually giving you the money. Now I gotta be smart with the money, right? Actually, that's 3. Now I gotta be smart with the money, invest the money. And then once I invest the money and make more money, then I can start my own thing. And when I start my own thing, now I can hire you so that you can make more money. And then now you gotta do the same thing. You gotta multiply that same process over and over and over. That's the only way to do it. It's the only way to do it. You look at other communities and they do it. They get it. The only way to move politics is with money, because politicians only speak dead presidents. They only speak dead presidents. Okay? When it comes to the Asian community, they come here. A lot of them are poor. They come here. They work at their Asian aunt's Asian restaurant, Chinese food that they put in the black community. When you go in the black community, you don't really see as many black businesses as you see everybody else's businesses is there, because they're doing what it takes to keep the system going, and they're reaping all the benefits, and they're taking it directly out of our pockets, and we're not doing anything to combat that except saying, man, you gotta keep it real. What does that even mean? Like, but next up, and I'm not saying capitalism is perfect, and I'm not saying Jay-Z is perfect either, so I don't want y'all to get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. That is not what I'm saying. There are issues with capitalism, but most of those issues, if we're being honest, that come in capitalism is not an issue of the system itself. It's an issue of the people within the system. I'm going to say that again. A lot of the issues with capitalism is not an issue with the system itself. It's the issue with people within that system. It is the socialization of the people within that system. It is a lot of times, oftentimes, predicated on racism as an oppressive system, and people use capitalism in order to fuel their own race. But let's keep going. Don't run out of gas. Let's keep going. I want to get into these verses that he mentions on the track. God did. So he says, this is the first one. He says, Hove did. Please, Lord, forgive me for what the stove did. Nobody touched the billy until Hove did. How many billionaires came from Hove crib? Huh? I count 3, me, Ye, and Ree. Brown's a rock boy, so 4 technically. Whoa. I left the dope game with my record clean, huh? And turned the cocaine into champagne. We can do it from the bottom up, all right? You don't have to start from the top. Turn the cocaine into champagne, meaning at the end of the day, capitalism means you have to sell something, right? In order to gain capital. You're either selling your time, your labor, products, resources, whatever it is, you're selling something in order to gain something else. He has experience in selling the cocaine, right? But that is not a legitimate path to wealth, according to the law, right? But, because, we don't gotta get into it. But he now, instead of selling cocaine, he now sells champagne. So at the end of the day, he's always gonna sell, he's selling something, right? He just changed what he sold from before to now, and which actually makes him more legitimate money. He could be in legitimate spaces and not behind bars, right? I left the dope game with my record clean. He was literally selling drugs, and he managed to make it out without causing any harm to his own personal record, which everyone doesn't get to do because they find themselves in the wrong position. He said, forgive me for what the stove did, because he understands that the fact that he was selling crack damaged part of the black community, which can't be repaired. But can we actually blame him for selling crack? Can we actually do that? Part of me wants to say, absolutely. Why'd you choose that route? You should have went the other route. Like, if I'm being honest, I always say do the clean route and take the hard way, but everyone's not into that. Everybody's not into going the hard way, the book way, He said nobody touched the billy till Hope did, which is the truth. He's the first black billionaire that we know of from rap and music and the like. I think maybe Oprah had $1 billion before Jay-Z, but I'm not sure. But he got a billy, right? And then this is the most important part, why I love this verse specifically. He said, how many billionaires can come from Hove crib? Meaning he's still in the business of making other billionaires. Why? Because billionaires beget millionaires, and millionaires beget millionaires, and other millionaires beget thousandaires and people that are coming on the way up. He is literally saying, I have spawned other billionaires. What have you done? Like, I've made other people rich. What have you done? Like, other than run your mouth. Like, what have you done? You haven't given back. Because all these people, first of all, Ye came from Chicago. Granted, he had a decent life, went to college, all this stuff. You got Rihanna, who came from an island in the Caribbean, was not rich. And then you got himself, who came from the projects. So you got 3 different people from 3 different backgrounds in 3 different places, and he managed to make them all billionaires. He managed to make them all billionaires. Granted, yes, it is through capitalism. That's the only way. Like, E was this is the verse 2. E was down 10 for this. We just got his 10 back. then went back like where the interest is. Light up the 03 and let y'all do the Zaza's OG for the OGs. He's talking about the fact that now he sells weed now. He's always selling something, but he sells weed now, and the fact that he would have been to jail for selling weed. Like his man E, who's, I think his name is M, also go by M, Emery, I think it is. He said Emery went 10 years for this. Like, he went to jail for 10 years for the same thing we're doing right now, legally. So, and he managed to make sure that when his friend got out of jail for what was illegal at the time, that he was compensated heavily for all of that with interest for the 10 years that he went down for something, and he came out and is not even legal no more. Some N-words out of pocket. This verse 3. Talking exotic. You barely been to the Baham. That's another topic. Monogram in my pocket off the red carpet. You see the face I made that night. Shit is that shocking. Odds wasn't great. Would even be alive. Gotta be crazy to y'all N-words. We surprised. S-word is too much how we grew up. S don't even feel real to us. He's literally telling you, this is crazy. He understands how crazy of a feat he has accomplished by coming out of the ghetto, actually experiencing the Bahamas and the Caribbean, actually experiencing exotic strains of weed, actually doing all these things legally. And yes, he's even surprised at himself, at the people around him, how he's been able to pull so many people up. I don't think y'all paying attention. So now verse 4. Hove is the real N-word's dream. My only goal to make a real N-word feel seen. Sometimes it make a fake N-word hate life. Sometimes it makes you hate life that you see someone so successful from the exact place that you started at with better circumstances. Imagine that. Sometimes, never my intention, the consequences of my way of life. The way we used to play with life, I'm now careful with the sentences, them only jail bars I like. He's literally saying he's trying to be more careful with his words. That's the only thing he's careful of. Of course, he messed up with that recent blunder. But that's the only thing he cares about. He's not doing the jail life. In fact, he's encouraging people to not go that direction. I just got $1 million off a sink without risking 1 million years trying to get it out the sink. He literally is telling you, go the straight route. I understand I did it this way, but you might not be as lucky as me, and I understand that. I understand the circumstance. Go the straight route, because it's very possible to make it in this capitalism thing. But yeah, that was the extended version. But thank you guys for watching. This is the Drunk Capitalist, and I hope you guys enjoyed this very long episode with me ranting and raving about capitalism. And trust me, I have so much more to speak about, especially in regards to this and giving back and all the things, because Black people, we as a community, we tend to add a black tax to those who are successful, and we give more criticism to those who are successful, almost as though we don't want them to be too successful. Like we want them to be successful, but only on our own terms, where they're making sure that they cutting us a check for whatever, for nothing most of the time, but for whatever reason we want someone to cut the check. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned some things and learned some things about my mindset, how I look at most of this stuff. I try to remain logical and not get too emotional about it, but people do get me tight. But yeah, again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.